Hello, it's Spence, the evil genius, with your WordPress tip of the day. Guys, I've got a great question from Nina, the gnome, over at the 1WDTV forums, and she is building a custom solution for a client, following our advice, I imagine, getting those new clients. And the client wants to build this really cool registration form with all these groovy details for a conference. And Nina is really curious about how to set up using the GravityForms WooCommerce add-on, or should I say the WooCommerce GravityForms add-on, that allows you to really do a nice integration between the complex things you can build with GravityForms, but then being able to spit out that total into WooCommerce product to purchase. It's really quite simple. So let me show you what I've set up. I did an example here without so many options, although I can add another option. This is an imaginary pizza order. And basically we've got a base price of $10. Maybe in this case the conference is $10.99. And then you got a few options here. And you can see if I choose from the drop down, which is a simple option, it just adds on the price. So it's $5 for sausage, I can add spinach. Now, of course, in this example, these are really basic options. I'm just doing one item. But just to prove to you that it is possible to do more complex stuff, the author of this plugin has a really good demo over at lucasstark.com/eStore/shop, whatever. Let's see if we go to lucasstark.com, I think, /eStore. You go over here and see the demo forms. And this is a good example where you can see all kinds of different iterations. For example, he's got a more complex pizza builder here. And it shows lots of different ways of doing it. You can have multiple selections here, and you can even do a drop down that has, let's say, an option of half the pizza, full pizza, double. That's kind of like what I just did here. And here's even one at the bottom where you can have somebody be able to type in. Now I'm going to make this more complex, but the cool thing is you can notice the results are the same. You get to have a dynamic price generated. So in our more simple example here, I've got the base price $10.99, added $3 of spinach, and now my subtotal with options is $13.99. Click, I add it to the cart, and bing, bam, boom, I'm ready to check out. I can view my cart, and that's that. Now the cool thing is the site owner is going to get an order inside of the site under GravityForms, where you can see of entries, and that'll have all the details, which can be exported in a CSV format or HTML format, etc. And so this could be really handy. For example, new pizza. I can see the entries here. Here's the pizza order that I just saw. This is how they're going to be able to keep track of basically who's coming, what, when, where, and why. All right, so let's make it a little more complex and also show you how to set this up. Let's go over here and back to our pizza order page. All we needed to do to set this up is first of all create a basic form. All right, so we went to our dashboard. So let's go to Dashboard Forms. And there's two plugins that are installed. Of course, it's the GravityForms base and then also the GravityForms add-on for WooCommerce. And if you've never done this before, you go into Plugins, Add New. I'm going to go to Installed because I've got them here. And you can see I've got WooCommerce and the WooCommerce GravityForms product add-ons. Okay, next I'm going to go, I'm going to start with forms. That's fine. You could start with a product, you could start with a form, it doesn't matter. And here I created one called New Pizza. And so let me edit it and show you what it's got. Basically, you need two things as a requirement. You need to have, first of all, under pricing fields, you need to have a product and you need to have a total. Right? So I started by clicking here and adding a product. And the product doesn't have to be called anything because I'm going to hide that field. I just called it pizza order, and then I selected from the drop-down the hidden field. Because all that we're doing is basically bookmarking this form as something that's connected with a total. The total is then going to be connected to the product in WooCommerce. So this will be sort of like the entry point to a calculation. And I also set the price here at 0 because I don't really need the form to add any base. Now, here's an exception to this. You could, if you wanted, have the form have a base price. In my case, I'm not doing that because I'm setting the product in WooCommerce to have the base price, which just happens to be like $10.99 because I'm saying a pizza by itself with nothing on it is $10.99. Your registration to this conference could be $199, anything extra from the form is going to be added to that. So it's kind of an apple-orange thing. You can either do it here or you can do it in WooCommerce. If you do it in both places, you're going to get both prices. So, be advised. Next is I added those options. Now I just did a simple drop-down, right? We could change that. We could do radio boxes or check boxes. So for example, if I do check boxes, I go ahead and set it up. I've got the ability here to select multiple, which might be actually a great idea for pizza because obviously the pizza you might want to have pepperoni, sausage, and spinach, right? The radio boxes give you this same layout, but allow you to only choose one of them. So for example, if I did radio box, I can only choose pepperoni or sausage or spinach, but they'll all be visible versus the drop down, which kind of hides them. I'm going to go with check boxes because that makes the most sense. Okay. Now, just to show you how easy it is to add an extra option, I just click option. And now let's say thick or thin, right? That would be a good one, probably, right? So let's drag it up so it's above the total. And I click here. And let's see. We'll call this, oops, thick or thin. Are you thick or thin? I don't know. Now, it's important. Product field is set to the placeholder we put at the top. That was the whole point of having this placeholder. That's what we're keying all these options to. In this case, there's not really any other thing it can be keyed to, so you're kind of stuck with it anyway. Now here, drop down, we could do it either way. Let's go with this one, the drop down, because the other one's going to be the checkbox anyway, right? We'll delete the option, and we're going to say, let's do it like this, super thin. Maybe adds $1. I don't know why. Probably should be less, but I don't know if you can do negatives here. And this will be thick. Actually, we'll do it like this. We'll do pan pizza. And this will be deep dish. I'm from Chicago. I can do that. It's going to be like $5 extra. Okay? And you can even make it required if you want, but you don't have to. Lastly, that field for total, there's nothing you need to do about it. This is the sort of closing door on the placeholder. We need this in order to kind of give us the value that will pass through to WooCommerce. So we update the form. Now we need a product to use this with, right? So we go over to WooCommerce option of the products, and I happen to have already created one, but you could create one from scratch. I went and did add a product, and I called it pizza order. And basically this is like any other product you might set up. I just did a simple product. I suppose you could subscribe if you added WooCommerce subscriptions and have a pizza a day delivered. But let's say it's a simple product. It's not virtual and it's not downloadable. It's actually a real thing, I presume. So you want to be able to uncheck these or leave these off, because otherwise there is a shipping thing here, right? Like now, if this is for virtual at the conference, not a pizza, you might want to click virtual. The main difference, and this is really important, is if you click virtual, then when somebody places the order, it will process the order automatically at your discretion and collect the money at that time. If you check it as virtual, that's important, like for a digital product, because then you don't have to waste time and people don't have to wait for you to approve the transaction. With a physical product or something that might need your intervention, make sure that it's not checked, because that way you can hold off on completing the transaction until you know you can deliver the goods, right? Like a pizza, you don't want to say, hey, I'm taking your money, until you know I can actually make the pizza. Okay? So here's where we added that regular price. Remember I said in the order form, you could put that as a base price, but I'm adding it here because that way it'll show nicely in the regular WooCommerce field. Then we scroll down and we have some options for configuring this. I choose the form I want to associate with this product, and that's kind of the key to this whole thing working. I want to associate the new pizza form with this product to affect the total price. I have the option here of displaying the forms title in addition to what WooCommerce shows, or the description from the forms. I'm not doing it because it's redundant. If I need to, I can go back and tweak the form here. And I can also remove that price label. Now, in this case, that $10.99, I actually want it to show up because I think it's good to say, hey, your base price is whatever. So I'm just adding a little prefix label here that says base price, and then it will show that $10.99. So right up at the top, somebody's going to see kind of where they're starting. And there's some other options for disabling the other labels and subtotals, but that's really it. I added a neat little pizza icon or thumbnail here, and then I updated it. Now when I did, I went in here and I put it into my menu. You don't have to do this. Obviously you can have the form anywhere you want. It's just a product page. But in this case, to make it easy, I added it to the main menu, right? So if this was my registration website, I might put a button here, register for our seminar, right at the top. And it will show a link to the product. And if you don't know how to do that, I'll show you just for the heck of it. Under Appearance Menus, I just went ahead and selected an option to put a menu item into the header menu. And I selected from the products area, and I just did the pizza order, and I added it to the menu, which ended up here. Now, if you don't see these full options, click on Screen Options and make sure that you've got all these options available, because these will show up here in this column for you to select from. A lot of times by default these aren't selected, and people are saying, I don't see the products available here. Well, that's because you have to set up your own screen options. Okay, save that and we're good to go. So now here we go. Let's refresh, make sure we got all those new options available. And our beautiful pizza. So base price, $10.99. Let's add pepperoni, sausage, spinach. I love this Ajax. See, it's adding it automatically. And now deep dish, let's go for it, Chicago style. And I'm so hungry, I want 2 of them. Let's rock this. Add it to the cart. And when we scroll up here and we click on View Cart, we will be able to see the results. Let's check it out. And there we go. This is just our bare responsive theme, so I need a little work to maybe format. But you see, here we go. We've got our pepperoni, sausage, spinach, all good to go. I probably would edit this a bit and get rid of this space, make more room for the product description. So that's it. That's basically how this works. And you can set this up with as many options as you want, so that if we were to go over here to Nina's, we could put in the full registration form stuff with the fields for Gravity that cover that. And then each of these could be an individual checkbox, or they could be part of a drop-down. And all of that can add together. So when you add something that's 125, 200, so on and so forth, it all comes together as a total, and all that data, again, is shared on the back end. So that's it. Hopefully this has helped you out working with the GravityForms addition to WooCommerce, and a general idea of how to set up some really cool, complex combinations for your LabZip responsive child theme. This is Spence, the evil genius. I'll see you next time.